Healthcare workers, what is something you never thought you would have to tell another grown-ass human? That you need to take the packaging off the suppository before you insert it. Which in retrospect, is why they were making his piles worse. A couple instances come to mind. 1. Don't have sex 6 hours after you delivered a baby. 2. Coffee creamer is not the same as infant formula. Please do not feed your day-old newborn International Delight. 3. Probiotics are different from antibiotics. Probiotics do not cure syphilis. Edit, these were 3 different patients. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. Worked in an optical practice in the UK. Man comes in complaining of bad vision. His astigmatism has increased by like 3 diopters. That's a fuckload and definitely shouldn't happen. Optician retested using different kit. Same result. Told him to come back in a week and we will retest it. This time we're looking at 4 diopters. They freak out. Recheck again, another optician checks it. Same result. They run through health, smoking, drinking, medicine. Nothing out of the ordinary. The guy looks stressed as shit, put his head in his hands and put his thumbs against the side of his eyes. The optician asks if he does that a lot. Apparently whenever he's stressed he pushes the sides of his eyes. He's done it so much that he has physically changed the front of his eyeball and ruined his vision. We told him to stop doing that. Never thought we'd have to tell another human being to not squeeze their own eyeballs. Also had to tell a kid to not look at laser pointers, but he was just dumb as shit. No, I cannot tell the race of your baby on ultrasound. You'll have to wait until birth to have an awkward conversation with one of your boyfriends. I took care of a paraplegic as a home health registered nurse. She was young, and she was attractive. She lived with her boyfriend and kept getting UTIs. This isn't uncommon, she had a catheter and it's something that can be very hard for this population. Well, this patient was talking to me about her sex life and told me her boyfriend liked anal. She has no feeling below the waist. Then it hit me. I asked if he's going from anal to vaginal. She said she wasn't sure. So I went and asked him. I had to tell them both that is probably what is causing her UTIs. They can't go from anal to vaginal. So, that's what I charted patient education was that day. I had to call her urologist and primary care to let them know we probably found the issue. We all tried to be professional but there was lots of awkward laughing. Usually goes along with after a car accident and their kids weren't in car seats/seat belts, how their kids need to be in fucking car seats. But it's summer so a more seasonal example is the following. Me, so what's the problem today? Them, I don't know what's going on. I can't breathe, I'm having a seizure. Me, has this ever happened before? Them, yeah, usually when I smoke crystal meth. Me, did you smoke crystal meth today? Them, yeah, like 30 minutes ago, why? Don't lick your contact lenses to clean them. Seriously. Oh God, horror story. Knew someone once who got a parasitic infection in both eyeballs because they used tap water instead of contact solution. A couple transplants later and they are blind now. Children's oral antibiotics prescribed for ear infections, which are usually pink, sweet, fruit-flavored liquids, are meant to be delivered into the mouth and not directly into the ear canal. Yes. This happens. More often than you can imagine. I can believe it. Been in pharmacy for 9 years now and for the past few, counseling with the pharmacist is mandatory on all new prescriptions. People will throw an absolute fit about how they don't need to talk to the pharmacist and know what the hell they're doing. Pharmacist, okay, humor me. Walk me through how to use this medicine. They've stopped so many people from putting amoxicillin in their kids' ears/eyes, swallowing suppositories, eating Miralax powder dry, shoving birth control into their vaginas. I don't want to go on. No, your teenage daughters cannot share a single prescription for birth control pills. I need to hear the rest of this story. That was pretty much it, but since you asked I'll expand a bit. Back in the late 90s, I was a counselor/educator at a women's health clinic in the northeastern US. One day, a woman came in with her 2 daughters, 15 and 16. The 16-year-old was already our patient and on the pill. The mom had found out the younger one was having sex, and wanted her to get tested for STIs. The mom proudly told me that she had put her younger daughter on the pill herself as soon as she found out she was sexually active. When I asked the mom who had prescribed the pill, she looked at me like I were an idiot. She told me that when you're on the pill, you only take it until you get a period, and then start back up a few days after the bleeding stops. Her daughters were just, naturally in sync, so they could share a pack of pills for the month. The mom wouldn't listen to anything I had to say. The older sister looked like she understood completely how to take pills, that her mom was an idiot, and that her sister would be pregnant by Christmas. The younger sister looked like she would be surprised at Christmas. Fortunately, the physician assistant saw the girls separately, and they each got their own pills. Primary care doctor here. Here's a few of my favorite things I've had to tell patients. 1. Please leave your marijuana, pipe, joint, or paraphernalia in your vehicle or at home. Don't bring it to your appointment. 2. You don't need to bring a hunting knife to your appointment. 3. No, I can't write you a letter saying your rabbit is a service animal so you can fly it around the country with you for free. 4. Showing up drunk to an 8 a.m. appointment and asking me to prescribe you Xanax doesn't get you Xanax. 5. I am not qualified to tell you how much masturbation is too much masturbation. 6. It is not my job to teach your adolescent son about how to get a girlfriend. 7. Your medicine only works when you take it. 8. I'm not going to give you my cell phone number. 9. Women are doctors too. 10. No, I can't just remove your gallbladder in the office. I'm also not a surgeon. 11. You shouldn't be taking your friends, mom's, or grandma's medication. 12. You can't just pull your panties to the side for a pap smear. And the list goes on and on. I work in health information management currently. I get to explain to parents that even though they are biological, I still can't share information about your adult kid about a half dozen times a day. I work at a college. Same conversation constantly. Yes, you pay the bills, but they're adults. What's an appropriate reason to dial 911 or private ambulance services? No, it's not okay to call 911 because your boyfriend won't take his jacket off. And no, calling us directly, private ambulance, isn't appropriate either. Former EMT was called to a patient's house because they had dropped the remote on the floor and needed help getting it. On one hand, patient had a history of multiple sclerosis and couldn't move, so, really did need the help. On the other, call a friend, a neighbor, use a tool, something. There is a compilation of non-appropriate emergency calls on YouTube that I listen to over and over because it's hilarious. The best ones are, an old lady calling because she saw a squirrel on a tree and she doesn't know what to do with it. A man who forgot his PIN code. And an old man who found feces next to a windmill and he thinks that it might have been from a human. He sounded really concerned. Edit, I didn't post the link because it's not English. It's Hungarian. If you are from Hungary you can find it, it's not that difficult. Old friend of mine is a nurse practitioner. She told me she once saw a patient, male, complaining of severe rectal itching and general pain. She is a very smart people person, she can read people very well. She got right to the point and asked him about his daily hygiene routine. She had a hunch based off his presentation that he was a man's man, ain't go gay stuff happening here. Long story short, when showering, he never cleaned his ass. Ever. He told her that it was homosexual to touch his anus. She had to explain to him that the severe rash and itching he had been dealing with for apparently years was a direct result of his perceived homo acts. She instructed him to go home, take a proper shower, and apply witch hazel for a few days. Amazing that a grown man thinks this way. To a girl once that she needed the morning after pill because she thought that girls only have babies if they think really hard to have one. Edit, to be clear, I don't work in the health profession. It was actually a girl I slept with who was 24 at the time. Very religious family. Don't douche with bleach. Okay, edit because you guys blew me up overnight. Patient had mixed bleach, fabric softener, Dawn dish soap, vinegar, and some water, just in case, and burned the bejesus out of herself after having a baby 3 weeks prior because she was convinced people could smell her. She douched with it multiple times and came in when the burning toned down. Sent off to gynecological surgeon and never seen again. Oh my god. Some woman has actually done this? Did she permanently damage her vagina/cervix? Yes, and yes. I had to tell a patient that food cooked in restaurants does in fact have salt, sodium. He was under the impression that they just didn't? I don't know. I was like, no dude, that's why their food tastes good. I worked in obstetrics for many years. I was taking care of a woman in her late 20s, Definitely not a teen mom, married, with a job. She got to 10 centimeters, so I did my usual speech about how to push effectively. She nods and pushes when I tell her, and she did great, really moved the baby down. I'm excited, but I notice she's whispering to her husband. He looks at me and says, "So why do you want her to do that?" I was a bit taken aback and very slowly explained that she had to get the baby out. She asked if I was kidding. At this point I feel like I'm the butt of a practical joke, but it didn't stop. He kept asking if there wasn't a better way to do it, and muttering that I was being ridiculous. She continued to push, and thankfully didn't take long because she kept rolling her eyes at me. I was thrilled to hand this lovely couple off to the doctor. They looked slightly more convinced when he told her to do exactly what I had told her to do, and then a baby magically appeared. If she'd ended up in a C-section, I'm sure she'd have been convinced I had done it all to torture her. How does a woman make it into adulthood in normal society without knowing you have to push a baby out? And then there was the time a woman got mad when I told her there was absolutely no way we could do her cesarean laparoscopically. I worked in hospital administration for nearly 2 years. While working on something, I decided to take a break and go down to the cafeteria to get something to eat and not look at the number. While there, a woman was on the phone with someone and was pretty openly talking about how she kept drinking the night before surgeries to calm her nerves, and how she thought it was ridiculous that the doctors couldn't or wouldn't just pump her stomach so they could get the surgery started. Now, I don't know all of the details on what she was getting done, nor was I there for her presumed tirade on our doctors as she was prepped for whatever it is she needed done, but I am grateful I wasn't. She continued this conversation for probably a minute with her friend, completely oblivious to how ridiculous she sounded. I was waiting to get my colonoscopy done a couple of years ago, and they were asking the lady in the next station if she'd fasted. They went through all the questions and double-checked that she had fasted, then after confirming, almost as an aside, she throws in that she had oatmeal for breakfast that morning. Nurse: "Ma'am, fasting means you can't eat anything before the exam." Lady: "I know, but I always have oatmeal for breakfast." Nurse: "I understand, but you can't eat before this exam. The doctor has to look at your digestive system." Lady: "But oatmeal is good for digestion." Nurse: "You can't eat anything before this exam. You have to be completely fasted so he can look at your intestines." Lady: "But I always have oatmeal for breakfast." The three that come to mind for me are: 1. Trying to explain to a patient why it probably wasn't a good idea to eat a container of cottage cheese that had been sitting out on the counter all night. 2. The entire family of a lady with a pacemaker. They kept insisting that she did not have a history of heart problems. They were convinced that because the pacemaker helped her, that it meant she no longer had any kind of heart problem. 3. Family with a mom that was 650 pounds. And if they wanted to move her anywhere, they would have to call the fire department. They were always apologetic and such, and said they just didn't know why she was so heavy and that she's tried everything to lose weight. But all around her bed is nothing but Butterfinger, Babe Ruth, Reese cup packages, fast food bags. I'm like, she can't walk on her own. Bring her a salad. All this junk and no movement is why she's so heavy. Yes, you smoking in your house is likely making your kids' asthma worse. My mother-in-law went off on me for giving my 12-year-old brother-in-law ice cream after dark. But he has asthma, you'll give him an attack. Cut to 5 minutes later, we're all in the living room and 2 people are smoking. Yes, it's the ice cream. Not my story, but my friend's, who is a doctor. One day an extremely obese lady came to the hospital with some kind of ailment, and it transpired that she needed an operation. This lady was too big to wash herself thoroughly beforehand, so the nurses did it. As they lifted up one of her enormous breasts, a TV remote control fell out and dropped onto the bed. She had a TV remote lodged in her body for God knows how long. She apparently wasn't especially embarrassed about this either. The medical team had to have a word with her about maintaining basic hygiene standards, as well as asking for help with self-care when needed. Story time. I'm a paramedic and once went to a 400 pounds lady that was complaining of chest pain. As I'm asking the typical chest pain workup questions, I'm applying the ECG stickers to her chest. As I'm placing the last leads, I have to move a massive slab of human tit meat and an Oreo cookie falls out, landing smooth in front of me. As I stared at it in shock, without a hint of shame, this land manatee says, "Yeah, that happens sometimes. My husband and I are too fat to have sex, so we just hide food on each other and try to find it." Can you imagine the culinary horrors that are hiding in the folds? Wife had a baby. The process involved about 100 professionals telling never to shake my baby. Of course, I thought, everyone knows that. Wife's water breaks, we're in the hospital, and she's getting checked in. I'm there with 2 other soon-to-be fathers. A nurse comes by and almost casually starts giving us a basic rundown of what not to do. Stuff I've heard 100 times. We get to never shake your baby, and one guy looks confused. A bewildering conversation takes place where this man insists he's never heard of that, must be cultural differences, insist everyone where he came from was shaken, and eventually is led away to talk to the doctor. I never saw him again, but I'm still scared for that baby. I've told this story on Reddit before, I think. I'll keep it short and concise. Older man, terminally ill. New Year's Eve, presented to the ER in the company of a hooker. He had a finishing nail in his erect penis. He was into penile sounding. He says, well, there was nothing else laying round, and I'm so fucked up and can't feel a thing. Indeed, he was fucked up. Cocaine, alcohol, MDMA, Viagra, and some hydrocodone. Poor dude just wanted one last rager. I told him, wood is just a euphemism, man, don't shove sharp things up your pee hole. He took it in stride. He was in the hospital for 2 days. The hooker basically stayed with him the entire time. Come to find out, she was only one of the 3 hookers he had paid, she wasn't even the one who shoved the nail up there. I thought it odd that she hung around until he told me how much he had paid them. Turns out the other 2 were hanging out at his house waiting for his return. I visited him before he was discharged. Dude pops some X right in front me and says, just getting a head start. No more sharp shit, I promise, doc.